hope you are having a wonderful day so far. I'm having tea, green. And today what we're going to be talking about, well, the whole entire video should be titled, I Want to Feel Special. We're talking about the idea of the gatekeepers of luxury cosmetics and that idea of wanting to feel special. Now, unfortunately, this video idea came from one of my lovely viewers who had expressed that they had been treated poorly by some staff. They had come in to buy some cosmetics and fragrance and had been treated less than, and had left feeling not great about it. In fact, it was kind of a purchase that they had made in some ways to show that they had the ability to purchase the items, but also to make themselves feel better, like, you know, the vindication from being treated poorly. And I think this happens way more often than I would like it to, if I were ruling the world, because I think that people have an idea in their head that they are the arbiters of good taste. They are the gatekeepers to make sure that the right people are using the brand, only people who can afford it or who portray a certain image that they think reflects the brand image. And the problem is anymore, lots of people can buy expensive things. And so it's not necessarily that you are gatekeeping for someone's actual means. What you've set yourself up as is that you are the decider. For one thing, because that makes you feel important as a person on the counter, but also because you have in your head somewhere that you're upholding a brand image. And if we need to know about brand images, we can look at what's the type of person that's generally hired for a counter. If you're an Origins counter person, you're generally the boy or girl next door. Natural, glowing, healthy, interested in natural ingredients. And that's the type of person that you are and the type of customer that you hope to attract for the brand. If you are MAC, you are edgy and you want to entice those people who would like to be edgy. And I think it's kind of funny because I'm fairly edgy on the inside, but not at all on the outside. So you think about Chanel, they're wanting sophistication. So they're looking to employ people who put out that brand image and that who attract people that also want to feel sophisticated because of their purchasing. Now the problem comes when you have people that are hired basically to sell cosmetics and fragrances, who somehow in their head get the idea that they are now the arbiters of good taste, and that they have to protect the brand image, and that only certain people should be purchasing or able to purchase these products. Now anymore, finance is not the limiting factor. People can put whatever on a credit card. They can leverage themselves in whatever ways and afford whatever the piece is. But these people somehow have in their head that this being better than is protecting the brand in some way. The problem comes when a person decides that they are protecting the brand, or they are the decider of good taste, and they fail to realize that they are serving the beauty line. They are serving something greater than themselves, in this case a company, but it's also an idea of luxury cosmetics. And as Bob Dylan would say, you got to serve somebody. And the idea being that you are in some ways trying to serve yourself, because if you have been set up as the arbiter, the decider, then you're important. You have some power. You have some decision-making abilities that make you special. And so people who are on a counter who want to feel special, who want to think that they are representing a brand because they are special, are missing out on the idea of what it is that they're actually serving. The brand itself is this beauty, is this idea, is this concept. And you have to feel like that brand is special in some sort of way in order for you to really approach that selling in an honest sort of a way. That's understood. You need to feel like whatever it is that you are selling has some sort of worth value that you want to have people buy, and in turn give you worth back in the fact that you're being paid for this. But many times people forget that you are in service to beauty, as opposed to you are the gatekeeper that only a few can have beauty. Now, brands themselves, especially luxury brands, do try and set up again that brand ethos around them, but they also set up certain things to increase the FOMO or the specialness, like only a few special people will receive this item because it's a limited edition. Take for instance the lines that have their color cosmetics tied to their fashion line, where they're launching every quarter basically to go with their fashion lines, a limited edition item. Now in Chanel, we would get a limited number of those items for our store, and then we had certain customers that we knew would always want to buy the limited edition. And one of the things of service that we did, and again, it would benefit us by customers purchasing things, but we would keep a log for all of our regular repeat customers of their color preferences, of their skin types, of the products they had used and tried and loved, and the ones that wanted to be on regular replenishment or who were interested in these new launches or limited edition items. And so some of these people would leave their credit card information with us, and so when the things came out, we would just put them on the credit card and hold the item for them, or we would mail them to the person. And in this way, the idea of good service was also to make the people feel special, that we were caring for them, for their needs, and so forth. And they would have an item that would make them feel special. And because of that, they would feel good about themselves and the items, and they would spend money with us, and therefore we were enriched by it because they were expending money with us. Now, the thing that happens is that people often have this sort of pretty woman experience. We've got the hooker with a heart of gold. If you read Joseph Campbell, that's one of the types, is the hooker with a heart of gold. And she's gone in to buy clothing, and she has money, but she's snubbed. And so her idea is to, come back and show them what they missed out on. And the problem is people like the salespeople don't often learn the lesson of, well, I should have been nicer to you because you clearly are in a social position to afford this and more. That lesson tends to ring hollow for people who don't get it. I don't think I've ever seen somebody get it that didn't get what their point was, because they are protecting their own feeling of self-worth as a gatekeeper of beauty. And if they were to take in that idea that I am merely a salesperson, I have no real reason to be, no raison d'etre, other than my use value. If I were to strip away that idea that I was special, then what would I be? What would my self-concept look like if I were no longer special? And so people, when they're salespeople, when they're confronted with this, you made a mistake by judging someone poorly, oftentimes they're like, well, I get a commission anyway, I don't care. And, maybe it was a mistake, maybe not, but I was protecting the brand image, and so therefore, So you can never really, get one in by proving to a salesperson that you can afford it, because it just doesn't necessarily register, because they are so focused on protecting their own feelings of being special and self-worth and self-concept that they're just going to be like, I get a commission, and it doesn't seem like it lands. So the idea of trying to show something to a gatekeeper is really less than you would want it to be. the best possible thing is to find someone else who will actually have a legitimate relationship with you. And granted, it's a business relationship, but it's also going to be based in honesty and mutual respect. Because you want to respect the people that are selling you makeup, and you want to respect their feedback for you. And you want them to respect you as a person and not just as a dollar sign. And that's really important. Because you don't want to have somebody that's always going to lie to you and say you look great in a color and when you don't. On the upper level, everybody knows everything. So if you're lying, all you're doing is making somebody uncomfortable in a way that they can't really put their finger on, because one part of them knows everything and understands that this is, a prevarication on your part. Not that I'm comparing humans to dogs, but what I will say is animals like me because they sense that if I had a treat, I would give it to them. And that's honest. I'm a sucker if they're, like paws, footed, whatever, and I have a treat. It makes it where I'm not great at animal training. But I do hold myself back and go, okay, they need to sit and stay and then they get the treat. But the animals do sense this about me. And I think that's something that translates into humans, is that I'm not going to lie to you. Now, I understand that my perception on things is not always the end all be all. I may not care for a certain color, but that may be exactly what you're looking for. And so I need to end up figuring out how to communicate to you that as I'm saying it, I don't love it, or I think something like that could be better. For instance, red lipsticks. There's huge shades of red out there, and just the slightest change in the tone of a red lipstick can make all the difference. And so if somebody is really wanting a red lipstick and they've picked up something and it's not quite working for them, I would try and communicate to them to go, I see that you're wanting and excited about this red. We try it on, and then can we try this other red on and have you take a look at it and see, this is, and I would explain to them why I would feel this way. But in the end, again, if they were dead set on this certain specific red, who am I to keep them from happiness with their lipstick? But at least the idea that I'm being honest and I'm not making a judgment beforehand who can have it and who can't. But I'm always trying to come about it as, am I being in service to the higher good, the higher beauty? Am I helping my customer to feel special, but in an honest way? To feel special in that I care about their experience. I care about them having the right item. I care about them in their financial sense, that I'm not wanting to sell them something that's really not going to work for them. But I'm also not going to decide that for them. If they have decided that this is going to work for them financially, not my business. But I try and approach it with that idea of, we are not to be the gatekeepers against this. Our job is to say, how do we figure out how to most graciously and most carefully and most appropriately make the customer feel special, and to cement that relationship. But for most people who have the experience, the unfortunate experience of running into that gatekeeping, it hardly ever works out to explain to somebody why they're incorrect in the way that they are providing this service, just because people are very protective of their self-concept. If they can no longer be special, who are they? And so I just wanted to refocus people on what is the goal of luxury cosmetics. And if you are running into a person that is making you feel less than, spending money with them is not appropriate. It's not going to show them a damn thing. But what you do want to do is to realize that you are special. You do deserve beauty. You deserve beauty at whatever level that you'd like to have it at. and that the best way to facilitate that is to find someone who understands that their service is to you and their service is to the higher idea of luxury and of beauty, at whatever level that is. So I feel like the idea that certain brands cultivate a certain ideology, you have to know that that's what you're looking for, that's what you're going to be sold, is that idea. But the feeling special part of it, you should always feel valued as a customer, as a person, whenever you approach someone who's working in luxury cosmetics. Because as I've said before, you never really know who your customer is, and anymore anybody can be your customer and you just don't know it. And the question is, are you in service to something higher than yourself? Are you in service to your fellow person? And are you going to be living with that idea that you are special because of those things that you serve, but that you serve them in a way that honors them rather than gatekeeps and makes exclusive? Can things be special and not be exclusive? Now that's the question. If everyone can have this, Birkin bag, is it special? Well, maybe it's better to think about, is that Birkin bag special on its own, regardless of the amount of money that you would pay for it, or is it only the dollar amount that makes it special? And every time we think that we have learned these lessons, I know for myself, every time that I think that I've got it, the universe goes, have you really learned it? My partner and I had been going around looking at houses, and there was a house that was advertised as an open house, and it was $2 million was the price tag. And so we had gone to see it, and there literally at the door was a gatekeeper, and he said, there's no one coming in that doesn't have an appointment to see this house. And we said, it's advertised as an open house. What? And he's like, no. And all of a sudden my brain exploded, and I had all of the stories and all of the, just anger and frustration and hurt and whatever. And to be true, if I had $2 million cold hard cash in my hand, that would not be a house that I would have wanted to buy. It wasn't. There wasn't anything about that particular house that said to me that is worth $2 million if I had it. So to me, to try and judge that, is that thing actually worth, in my happiness, in the exact thing that I needed, what it would be costing? And a lot of times the answer is no. There is nothing specifically about that thing that is good, lovely, perfect for me. Now on the Chanel counter, they did expressly say they did not want people wearing Chanel knockoffs on counter. And I absolutely agree with that, because to me, in my head, the point of being able to afford a Chanel bag or a Chanel piece of jewelry is that you can afford that thing, and that's what makes it special, is I can afford a real Chanel bag. Because I'm looking at some of the knockoffs, and even if it was perfectly crafted, looked exactly like the thing, I don't love a lot of the Chanel bags. I don't. They're not my style. And if I had that money, I wouldn't buy them, because the thing in of itself is not perfect for me. And so this idea of, would I put the money toward it? Did I? No, I wouldn't. So the thing that's making it special is not the thing itself. It's I can afford to buy a thing at that price point. That's what makes it special, as opposed to the thing itself. Now, I'm not saying that certain things, but craftsmanship and materials aren't special. The design is special in some way. But when I look at that, I have to think about, is it the thing in itself? Is the idea that I am able to purchase it and get that? Is it the idea that it's making me feel special in some way that I can't get elsewhere? And why am I needing to feel special? Like, who am I looking for and what am I looking for in that experience that if I unpacked it, I would really, find that I was okay with whatever information came back to me as far as feeling special. Sorry about that. I needed to get a different tea. I'm having mango and ginger. So let me land this plane. So you might think that idea of not believing the thing itself is worthy or worthwhile is kind of a sour grapes. It's how I deal with not being able to find a way to have the thing that I find that I want, which is true. Sometimes that's psychologically the only thing you can do against the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune is to then believe that the beautiful thing is not so beautiful. But there are other options to this, and especially when we're talking about beauty. In real life, sometimes, if you can't have a thing, you revolt, or you destroy the beautiful thing. Or in other cases, you're more looking at the revitalization of something. You decide that, okay, there's this beautiful thing and I can't have it, at least not in the way that I want it. And so for makeup, the beautiful thing is, if you want Chanel or something else beautiful, you can always find a new avenue, a new seller, a new person to work with on a counter. And now, because Chanel's being sold in Ulta, you can just go look at it and order it yourself, which means that sometimes you don't have the same expertise with somebody dealing with you to help you through this process and to help increase that notion of special. But you can have the thing itself. So if you find that the thing itself is worthwhile, worth what you're paying for it, and is intrinsically what you're looking for, you can go ahead and pick that up all by your onesies. But the other thing that can happen, sometimes when people are not, have been at the hands of a gatekeeper of some sort, sometimes this is something that causes people to start their own brand, to just decide, oh, I can make beautiful things too, and so it's more of a revolutionizing of things rather than storm the gates. But the other thing is you can find other people that are part of more of a tribe for you in this idea of the luxury beauty pursuit. People that can have, that are more aligned with you on the whole. We're all, finding ways to be special and to help each other be special, that aren't toxic, that aren't weird, that aren't like gatekeeping, and are also focused on service and service of the beautiful, both as makeup items and as in service to one another to help us feel special in healthy ways, that are very nurturing to both sides, even if it's, this is just a financial, one-on-one that we're just giving and taking. Still, I think that beyond that, the whole purpose of the luxury is that feeling of special. And can we get it to a place where it's healthy and sustaining and beautiful, as opposed to, getting our self-worth from being a gatekeeper, being able to shut other people out, even if we ourselves are not even in that space. The affluent, somebody selling you something that is a product for the affluent and they are not themselves affluent. I think about sometimes the Julia Cameron, the idea of the shadow self wanting to be near the things that they're wanting to be, in case of, if you're a writer and you want to be a writer but you don't feel like you can be, so you become like the assistant to a writer. That way you're around it, but you're never really becoming that yourself. So I feel like sometimes those gatekeepers of beauty, they're near that because they want to bask in that glow, but because they are not that, they're, they can become angry about it and want to idealize themselves as the protector of the beauty, as opposed to the servant to the beauty, in the way of the sharing of the beauty. So I don't know if that actually lands the plane, but I just wanted to think of it as, coming up against a gatekeeper, if we can't get around it or move to a different direction, sometimes that's the sign that we need to look for a different ethos, a different product, a different thing that can make us happy about that thing ourselves, that we can get and support things that are revolutionizing the industry or the product or the way things are done in such a way that we can get past the gatekeepers and achieve the beautiful things that we'd like without having to be deciding that it's not for us or deciding that we need to make a point to people who will never ever get the point. I feel like this was a little all over the place, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If so, comment below, or if you have thoughts, or if there's rabbit holes that I didn't go down for this video, please point them out. I would love to follow any rabbit holes that you would like me to follow. So hopefully you're doing well. You are enjoying the feeling of being special in a healthy, wonderful way, enjoying your luxury cosmetics in a way that's uplifting, and we shall see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.